We're here again to request your support for the Humane Society. I have some questions for you, and I just want to share some more information with you. I tried to look at this from your perspective and ask, why would you not fund us? One of the things that first comes to mind, obviously, would be the economy and how it's gone down in the last 4 years since we did get funding from you in 2008. So I do want to just clarify how that funding we got in 2008 was given to us. It was from a community service fund, is my understanding, and it was $25,000. I guess the community service fund that you currently have is from the tax levies. Am I understanding this correctly? Well, from what I gather, there's $5 million that you guys are collecting from the tax levies, and part of the community service fund comes from that. We are asking for $25,000 from that community service fund, which is less than 0.5%. So 0.45% of the total is what we're asking for. How does this compare to other counties is minimal. What I do have and what I had done is spoke with other counties to find out how much they're actually giving their humane societies. And what I did was compare it with our population.
Off of that,
So according to the population, Whitley County, 33,000, and I went and compared to the counties that were very close to us. And then I also, in the second chart there, categorized it by how much they spend on their Humane Society or their animals or their county issues with their animals and their relationship to their shelter. So some are obviously county ran, and some are contracted. What we're seeking from you is a contract to address the animal issues within the county. We feel that the animals are a county issue simply because people are a county issue. Things that occur in the county are a county issue. And we're asking you to look at this not from your point of view as a personal dog lover or cat lover. You don't have to be a cat lover or dog lover to consider or acknowledge that this is an issue that resides in the county. But look at it from the people that you are representing and what they would like for their county and for the animals in their area. Some of the things that we deal with on a daily basis are obviously the stray animals that come in from the county that don't have any way of getting there, that we will go out and pick up. Just last week I had a dog that was hit by a car, that the lady had foot surgery and she had no way of bringing the animal in, so I went out to get it. Clearly the leg was broken, took it to the vet, confirmed the broken leg. It was microchipped and reconnected it with the actual owner. So these things happen all the time. We get calls all the time concerning going out and picking up animals within the county. Another issue that we see are the hoarders and the breeders within the county. Last year we dealt with a hoarder that had 49 cats. I mean, if we did not deal with those issues, where would these animals end up and where would the people end up? Where would it go from there? And so this is what we're asking for, is to help, to support from you guys to help with the issues that we deal with within the county. Last summer we had, or actually this summer we had 35 cats coming from one household, from one lady. Last week I had a lady stop by, she had 16. If we weren't there, where would these animals go and what would these people do? We're constantly getting calls to go out, and we would like to go out and pick up these animals and deal with these issues because it's in line with our mission. But we also need help because it takes a lot of time and resources and energy to be able to do that. I know a lot has changed and has happened since 2008, and I know there was some sort of falling out. I don't know all the details, but I do know that I can't change that. I wish I could. But the way it is now is totally different. Things are different. We're as transparent as we can possibly be. And we would love for you to come in and see what we do and visit other shelters, ask other counties, how do you support this? You know, what is your means of dealing with your animals in your county? So we're asking again for support from the county in the terms of $25,000, which is, if you look at the chart, and surrounding counties is nothing compared to some of the other places that are comparable to Whitley County.
Lindsay, just so you know, in digging up stuff, the last contract we had with the Humane Shelter was in 2008 for the 2009 contracted year, and I dug out the actual claim, and it was for $10,000, and we gave you $5,000 each half. And I looked at the appropriation, and it actually come out of a fund from the commissioner's line item budget. So it did come from tax dollars back prior to this. Just so you have some, I know you were struggling there at the beginning where the money came from, right? But everything I've seen, it was an actual line item out of the county commissioner's budget back then from 2009 and prior to that. Just some heads up for you guys too. And the last funding was for $10,000 in 2009. I can't find anything else from us after that time frame. So it did fall from 25 to 10 and then didn't exist after that.
I got a question or two. Since you've obviously survived without anything for the last few years, if you get the $25,000, how do you plan to spend it?
To cover medical costs, to cover the cost of living, everything has gone up.
Additional costs, I mean, you're gonna do something you haven't done in the past?
We would like to be able to go out and get the animals that we get calls on. So part of the money would be set aside for that.
I'm not trying to be picky, but this just brings up questions in my mind. One of them, I'd like to see your budget.
That's okay.
There's a lot of debt. It would go toward the debt.
It was what?
There's a lot of debt,
Okay.
medication that goes back years and years. So, I mean, the utility bill wasn't paid a couple months ago. So it would go toward already existing debt due to the fact that we weren't getting county funding.
So to catch up.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
How do you determine, I know you've talked before about we pick up so many animals from Columbia City, South Cherubusco, the county. How do you break that down? I mean, does Cherubusco and South Whitley contribute to you?
They do.
They do.
As far as the cost per animal?
No, I don't want to know what that is particularly. I just want to know, I think if I remember right, the number I heard was something like 480 animals last year in the county. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. You work a 5-day week, that's about 2 a day. You get that?
We get quite a few, yeah. And sometimes, you know, it can be in large amounts, large quantities, like the 35 cats or whatever. And some days it's just, you know, a few here and there. So we do get quite a few. But we're not only, you know, taking in the animals, we're also addressing the other issues, the bigger issues, the hoarding situations, the, you know, going out and getting them, covering the cost of gas to get there, you know, the time, the energy.
How do you do that now? If you went and got it, in your personal vehicle, or do you have a vehicle?
I use the van. Stacy and I went out because we happen to have a part-time cleaning employee there who could man the shelter. Both of us went out to go
I
do
just
it.
wanted a little more about how you operate, because it's kind of a mystery to me. I came and talked with you today, and we had a little understanding, but those were those things that come to mind.
I have a question for Mark. Maybe you could, Sheriff, maybe you could help us with this, or Mark. How many calls do you actually get as far as animal calls out in the country?
I think I can answer that, being in charge of the communication department. If you average it out, I would say we get 5 calls a week, and that's average. In the winter, in the summer, we get a lot. In the fall and spring, not so much. But, you know, in those times, we get a lot of calls that we need to go out and check animals. And you know, make sure they have food, make sure they have shelter, make sure they have water, you know. So if you average it out, I'd say maybe 5 calls a week, or maybe 5 calls, maybe 3 to 5 calls a week.
Now, these calls are you getting, are they because of the animal causing problems or just strays?
Just strays and people that aren't taking care of their animals. You know, people that drive by and say, I've driven by this house every day for the last week and this dog has been tied up to the tree, the same place every day. And so we send people out to check them. But sending people out, and I'm gonna overstep my bounds, Sheriff, so help me out. Sending a deputy out to check those dogs, they're not trained. I mean, these ladies came in and trained them, but, you know, just recently, but, you know, I would feel better sending out people that know what to look for in these animals.
Well, I understand that, but what authority do you have to go out there and say to unhook that animal, whether it's a dog or cat? What kind of authority do you have to go out there and do that?
State laws.
They do.
They do,
I'm
or
not
you
talking about you, Mark.
Oh, okay,
I know
I'm
you
sorry.
do, but they just said that, or she just said that they went out and, you know, checked on a dog or cat, whatever might be tied up to a tree or whatever. I'm asking you, what authority do you have to go out there to approach these people about,
Are you talking to me?
to any humane
The
society?
shelter? Okay. The shelter.
I mean, do one of you carry a badge or
No, we
anything
don't
like
have the authority to go out. and
So if
make
there's a
that-
problem, then you go back to the sheriff's department.
Right, the sheriff would have to make that call.
That's what I was
My
getting.
concern is, what we can do is if somebody contains a stray animal, we can go and pick that up. But what we cannot do is make that determination if there's any type of cruelty or, you know, neglect.
Right, because it becomes criminal at that
Right,
point.
I understand that. But what I was getting at, if one of them had, you know, a badge or anything that states that, you know, if they see this or if they get a call on it, without getting the sheriff's department involved in it, if they had any authority to go out there and get the animal.
In other counties, the animal control officers do carry badges and they do have that authority, but I think it's because they've been deputized and they're actually a county employee.
So it'd be a county employee.
I think it'd have to be. It seems to me like there's some liability involved, and not you go out there and get in trouble with that animal or something.
Could you give a number on how many citations, arrests are made on dogs running at large or animal cruelty, et cetera, like that? Either Mark?
Off the top of my head, no. If you want that, I can run that report real quick on animals running at large. How much time do you want in the last year? Because all I need to do is make a call and they'll pull it up on the CAD and let you know.
That'd be helpful information, yes.
We run out and do that.
Hey, John. One of the things is pretty standard protocol for our department on a first offense of a dog running at large or a stray, we know who the owner is. They get a copy of the ordinance about strays, and normally the first time they just get a warning. Once they become repeat offenders, we cite them every time we go out. So, I mean, it's gonna show numbers. We go out a lot, but if they're first time offenders, we pretty much normally all the time give them a warning.
Didn't they, since you run the ad in the paper about calling us, I've had 2 letters and 2 phone calls and want us to do it. I've had more than that saying don't put any money in that humane society. You're getting into a very controversial issue with the taxpayers,
I'm
which
sure
I'm
it is.
pretty sure you're aware.
It is, and part of that issue is changing the county's perception on the way that it is now. I know several people have, in the county, have had issues with, you know, being refused adoption or, you know, with customer service and that's all changed. Everything has changed since their past experience, since I've been there. It is a lot easier to adopt. You know, customer service is our #1 priority in addition to taking care of the animals, but Stacy does all the adoption. She can tell you exactly what the criteria is, and you have to be a pretty bad pet owner, in her words, not to
Yeah,
get it.
you're right, that has got some very bad connotations to adopting an animal or to taking one in. Do you adopt everything? Does every animal get adopted, or do you euthanize some?
We do euthanize.
How long do you keep them before you do that?
Well, when an animal comes in, we give it a few days to get adjusted, and then we evaluate it. So a temperament test for dogs is given. If they do not pass the temperament test, if they're not safe animal that we can adopt back out in the community, then we do euthanize them. You know, part of the reason that we're there is to give animals a second chance, but they have to be safe in order to adopt them out.
And a lot of other people's personal experience with stray animals. I saw a black cat when I was hunting this fall back in the woods. That's the only stray I've seen. I can't remember the last time I've seen a stray animal. So it's kind of hard to impress on me that it's a big issue. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that a lot of people have that same impression like me. I don't see any stray animals.
Most of the time people bring them in too. I mean, our numbers aren't just, you know, they're there. So, and they're still increasing. I think this year we're going to be we're well over 500 already.
For the year.
Yeah. And so we're going to be definitely past what we've received last year.
I've got a question. Does the local society receive any funding from the National Humane Society or PETA?
No, we do not.
What do they do with their money?
I would love
Besides
to know.
attack the livestock industry in this country?
Yeah, I was gonna say, if they start getting money from them, I won't get it.
Kelly?
As of today, we had 182 animal complaints in the county, but we had 121 dogs running at large from January 1st to today.
I have a question for the sheriff or Mark or Sean. When you guys get called, dispatched to a home where there's an animal running at large, and you do decide that that animal needs to be removed, what do you do?
It's been an issue for some time. Hopefully, we're able to get someone from the humane shelter, depending on the animal. If it's a large dog or circumstances dictate, we'd like for somebody from the humane shelter to come out with their vehicle, and they're equipped to do that, not only to catch it, but also to transport it. I don't think it's right to put a large dog, dirty dog in the back of a police car where we have to transport other people and filthy up the back of the car. So that's typically we give them a call to come take care of that.
So you do utilize the humane shelter now? They are coming and getting animals from the city?
We do now. It is, the whole working relationship between the humane shelter and us since they have taken over has changed. I mean, it's completely done a whole circle on us. I mean, we've turned around. The working relationship's great. They taught a training for us on October 31st to evaluate dogs, so maybe the officers could stop having them come out on every dog case that the officer thought was too skinny, and then they come out and say no. And then when they do come out, I will say a lot of times if the dog, I shouldn't keep referring to a dog, if the animal is not in life or death situation, they do give the owners a certain amount of time to rectify the problems with the animal, and they come back and reevaluate. And they normally try to go do the reevaluation by themselves without tying us up. Then if the homeowner becomes irate or something, then they call us. But they have changed the working relationship between us.
Any additional questions? We have a request. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, but it's not, and I understand the commissioners have a recommendation to us, and that recommendation is regarding you guys didn't vote on this?
We